there's absolutely no pressure here to be an American. Now I'm telling you that if that's the case, and not just Miami, but other places around this country, then I want to get that straight before I get anything else straight about how many more people we're going to let in. Because the assimilation process is the most important aspect of the immigration process. Just having bodies come, that's not all that helpful. They have to assimilate. People have to assimilate into our society. So I would concentrate on that before I would on trying to increase the numbers, which, as I say, are today higher than any country in the world.
What percentage of the illegal immigrants that we have in the country are actually from Mexico, or I think are coming in and just overstaying their visas?
Yes,
they come in,
okay.
they fly in, they never fly home.
It's about half. That it's 45% of the people who are in that category we call illegal immigrant. That is to say, the 12 to 20 million figure that's constantly thrown out, and nobody knows for sure. I think it is closer to 20 than 12, but about half, 45% of all of those people came into the country legally with a visa and simply overstayed it. So again, we have a tendency to look at the problem as simply being a southern border problem. And it is true that a majority of the people who come into this country illegally cross that southern border are Mexican or Hispanic or Latin American. But the reality is that every year there's a group that go around the Capitol. They've got these shirts on and that say, you know, it's free the Irish. And they're talking about all the Irish immigrants, illegal immigrants in this country. And they're there lobbying for us to give amnesty to the Irish immigrants because there are so many who are here illegally. I mean, it's certainly not unique to the southern border or to Mexico. About 45%.
Senator, what will it take us to take us back to the 1950s laws? I'm a product of what you are discussing. And if we had enforced those laws, we would not have the problem that we have today.
That's correct.
In those days, I had to go through a physical exam, I had to be conversant in English, and I had to be interviewed by authorities in the American consulate.
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely right. And you know, it's still the process that you have to apply. I mean, if you want to come into the country legally, you still have to go through a process similar to what you've just described. You have to start off at the embassy, you know, make application, go through a background check. It's one of the reasons why it takes as long as it does. It's not something that you can do overnight. But the problem is not that we don't have a process. We do. The problem is that we ignore it. It just doesn't matter. That's only one way to come into the country. There is another, and it's just called coming across the border or coming here with a visa and staying. And so it makes a mockery out of this, of what you just described. Why would anybody do it that way? That's my whole point. You've got to determine what, as a nation, are you going to enforce these laws or not? And if you are, you know, how are you going to do so at the border, just at the border, or are you going to say, I'm going to go after employers to make sure that we disconnect the magnet that draws all these people into the country illegally? I think that has to happen, frankly. And it's going to take a president. That's what it's going to take. Because you see, there are laws on the books to accomplish all of these things. It just simply takes somebody committed to doing so. We do not have that today. We have not had that for a long time. But you have to have someone who appoints a head of Homeland Security and someone who is head of the Justice Department and Attorney General, and you say to them, we are going to, this is it. This is the new marching orders you're going to get. We are going to secure those borders, and we are going to go after people who are here illegally, and we're going to go after employers who are employing them illegally. And yes, I understand if there's this great hue and cry for a guest worker program. Well, I'll tell you, what we first need to do is, before we even talk about guest worker, which frankly I would challenge to begin with, this notion that we cannot live without the inflow of illegal labor. But certainly the idea is to secure your borders and to enforce the law internally in this country. And it takes a president to do that. No other person. Not too long ago, there's an example of this. A guy by the name of Carrillo. He's the head of the sector, the El Paso sector, and for the Border Patrol. And he made a speech. This was just 2 weeks ago. And he said the Border Patrol, the job of the Border Patrol is not to stop illegal immigrants coming into the country. A revelation. He said it's not even to stop drug trafficking into this country. He says we're just supposed to go after terrorists. Well, of course, when he was called on it, some of the press there, they reported, they called our office. We sort of challenged that idea that the Border Patrol is not to actually stop people from coming into this